ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the EGF Collegiate Power Series. We're here in Week 2, Group 2, and I'm here joined today with Jordan, aka FBI Tugboat, myself, David Hans Chen. Jordan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Apparently I don't get a last name like you, unfortunately, David.
Oh, man.
I'm just kidding around. Fitzpatrick's the last name. Actually, a lot of people call me that, like, instead of the first name. In fact, I'd say that more people call me some variation of my last name than my first name. But, hey, just little tidbits about FBI Tugboat, right?
Yeah. But we're about to hop into game here, it seems, because it looks like both teams are ready. An exciting day of Rocket League today with UConn and Hofstra. We saw this game matchup Week 1 going to UConn's direction already.
Hofstra coming in from New York, not too far away, but UConn and this Rocket League team, very storied one indeed. We have seen them play in many different competitions just here with the EGFC. Now, these will be best of 5, series game number 1. We're getting it started. Nice little positioning play. Let me get this one right. There's autocam. There it is. Okay, sorry there. Prodigy coming up, does not hit that one. Kyle coming in, nice little save. We'll run through these right quick. Hofstra on the right, that's Malik, that's Kyle, and that's Prodigy. Hans, would you like to run through the UConn players for me as they are already putting up points?
Yeah, Ackman already putting up that point like you mentioned already, but we also have a few other teammates of his. Ackman being that Season 12 Grand Champion. Great setup for himself and great play, but he is joined alongside the rest of his team, which I can't barely. It's going to be Disaster and Chirpa, yeah. My fault.
Gotcha. No, all gravy. Disaster with a funny little spelling on in there. But yeah, first 30 seconds so far, UConn already striking. Now Disaster has a solid little stop play on this. That was a good job, but then kind of let it get away. Malik now trying to center this one up, but a long-range play like that will be sniffed out by Ackman every single time, David.
Yeah, and those plays getting snipped out, like you said, UConn putting so much pressure on, showing that why they already won that first matchup against Hofstra here, and going for another score attempt by the Hofstra side, unfortunately not able to, hitting off of that backboard. Nice
chip play here. Chirpa trying to make something of it. Actually looks like the corner play comes in. This UConn member a little bit confused, so not something we see very often, not something we'll see beyond games 2 and 3 for UConn, because they're looking at a triple schedule here today. A triple header, not just a double header, same baseball.
Yeah, back-to-back games for UConn here, but now they're just going to keep putting on this pressure. Kyle going to get the demo on Chirpa, unfortunately. Means that UConn's going to be down a member on this offense, but Chirpa's going to come right back swinging. Going to go for another shot attempt there, but unfortunately missing in the air.
This is still some solid pressure. The side of Hofstra has done a fantastic job of centering these so far. UConn has done a fantastic job of centering these so far, and I do need to correct myself. It is doubleheader. UConn is not playing 3 games today. We had an edited schedule. Some other teams, I believe that's Mizzou with doubles, UT Arlington with doubles, Wichita State with doubles.
I believe every team gets a double today except UConn's 2 opponents, who normally would have faced Duquesne. Like we mentioned earlier, they were unfortunately unable to attend today just because of some class scheduling issues, but we will have them back next week.
Well centered here. Chirpa doing a good job on defense bringing this out. But really what I want to kind of shout out here, that's actually Hofstra realizing this offensive push was over. They realized the ball just got a little bit farther away from them, and it's just simply not worth investing, especially with players back, only one able to go on offense. That would just spell a nasty flip counter defense. Good job of that. Now offenses against them. UConn's still been putting this up, and that's the second time this ball has absolutely flirted with the Hofstra goalpost. Now Disaster tired of chalking these up to almost goal, getting it done himself after Disaster with I've been there before with these balls hitting the inside corners and sides. It's Heartbreak Hotel. It's not a good feeling.
A great flip from Disaster there to put that ball into the goal. There's so much offensive pressure coming out of here from UConn today, and I think the biggest thing to note is that they seem just a little bit out of sync on UConn's side. There's a lot of times that Disaster has been setting up these center balls for Chirpa and such, like you mentioned, and now stuff and Ackman and Chirpa just haven't been following up right on time. Chirpa going for another goal attempt, and you see it right there. Just a little bit slower, he would have been able to kind of chip that ball down a little more. I want to see a little bit more tight of ball control play coming out of UConn now.
Yeah, this has been really longer range plays. That's Disaster with a nice little bounce play on that, looking like honestly looking like a basketball, right? Dribbling this right on the side, nice little bounce play on that. Defender not able to get on the other side of it. Kyle was chasing it down, but lack of boost or something more results in not being able to get there in time. 3-0 with a clean 2 minutes left on this clock.
Yeah, and shout out to Disaster for solo setting it up for himself, knowing that even though he did have that additional backup coming off of the center, you know, he could just make that score attempt himself. Prodigy trying to make a score attempt happen himself as well, but unfortunately not going to be able to find it. UConn putting up that defense that they need to. Ackman playing fantastically on the net.
Yeah, I like the rotations here from Kyle again. Hofstra has done a good job of realizing when these offensive pushes are simply over. They have reached their time in this world and there are no more. As they rotate around the defense, they respond there very, very evenly. Now that's a little pinch play by Prodigy and Disaster, I think. This is not what Hofstra wanted. UConn trying for the aerial, meet this ball up top. Not going to happen so easily, and just like that, offense is against UConn again.
Yeah, and it's just so tough for Hofstra to even come back in this game. With a minute left on the clock, it means that, you know, you have about 20 seconds left for each score just to even try to tie this game up. Kyle, unfortunately, the only person on this offense unable to follow up that potential score, but 1 minute left now.
All right, so Hans, I've been shouting it out and praising it so far, but that was just that was an aborted mission way too early. There was plenty of time. Ball did not have a whole lot of momentum behind it, and Hofstra players could have rallied behind their offensive man up there, man in front, just simply didn't. Rotated on around, and Hofstra now, I mean, they're only going to be getting so many more of these attempts.
And with the clock ticking down more and more, ooh, on Chirpa with that last second save, 30 seconds left means Hofstra is trying to look for basically opening scores every hit now, and unfortunately it's going to be worse and worse looking for Hofstra by the second.
Yeah, the chances of this are slipping through the fingers of Hofstra with every second. Now there's best of 5. They have 2 more shots after this. All is lost. The dream is not over quite yet, but nobody wants to start out 1-0.
Yeah, but just like you said, you know, they do have a full best of 5 after this. They have 3 more games, 2 more at the very minimum to look forward. So, you know, right now, take that time, get that clear mindset, try to clean up that mentality. Ackman getting that last second score to just rub it in a little bit, unfortunately. But, you know, if you're, like I said earlier, if you're the side of Hofstra, you're just looking to try to clean up that mentality. You know, this last goal doesn't matter. None of the previous goals matters. Game 2 is always a new game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A new lease on life. And as I'm saying this over and over, I have to wonder if that's supposed to be AC man. You know,
yeah.
like a repairman or something like that, or somebody who's in trade school. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe we'll get a little bit of clarity on that. But talking about the numbers, that's always what we do here. Disaster really coming through for his team, and a very eclectic performance, drawing from many different sources. That's goals, assists, save shots, everything across the board. Disaster was a part of it. Now looking at Chirpa, doing way more on offense. Did get a save in. Looking on over with Hofstra now. This tail of the take is that Kyle was the offensive player, Prodigy and Malik mostly playing on defense, right?
Yeah, and, you know, although Hofstra was mostly playing on defense, unfortunately, on that back foot, they're going to at least try to increase that offensive pressure going into the next game.
Got to. There was what we talked about, Hofstra's opportunities there towards the end with time ticking down, but like you said, Hofstra simply has to have possession of this ball and be setting up offensive pushes more often. 4 shots for one player will not get it done for you. 4-0 goes game number 1. UConn with a definitive W. Now we're in game number 2. Like my man David said, new game, new day. See how this goes and how inside of Hofstra flips the script, changes up game plans.
Yeah, and honestly, the biggest thing for me is that, you know, we did see UConn, like I mentioned early on, they're just a little bit off today. You know, a little fast, a little too early, maybe a little too late on some of these balls. I want Hofstra to try to start taking advantage of that. You know, put on that aggressive offensive pressure. You've seen UConn try to struggle with that ball just to get that ball back in control to put it on offense. So take advantage of that as much as you can.
Something I want to shout out right here. It's what we've been talking about microplays yesterday with Navik. I want to shout this one out again. There was a UConn player who brought up and did the triple dribble against the wall. Now, why would you do that? Ball's going fast, and if you miss it, you're looking at an easily centered ball. But what it is just simply buying your team time. You did not have 2 defenders who were fully set up. You dribble that ball against the wall. It's extremely hard to take away and buys your team about 2-3 seconds to set up. And who knows? Hofstra's first goal might have been the result of what it was otherwise fantastic positioning for the side of Hofstra. Now, a minute in, nobody really with an advantage quite yet. Hofstra has maintained a little bit more of this offensive time.
Yeah, but honestly, the UConn still continuing that pressure. You saw 2 shots on the backboard a little earlier from the rest of their team. They're doing fantastically, and I think the biggest thing for me, looking at Hofstra's play right now, is that they seem really, I think they seem too close together. You know, so I need to the team to start opening up the rotations, be not afraid of charging down this line to just start receiving some lobs going down the end of the field. Now getting that demo, Kyle getting the score as well.
Nicely done, putting exactly where he needs to. AC Man or AC Man just simply not able to get there in time. Oh no, excuse me, there was a different defender. AC Man has a very reasonable excuse for why he wasn't there to defend that ball.
Yeah, Magic doing a great job, knowing that AC-Man, AC Man there, only person able to really defend, going for that demo and helping his teammates set that ball up really well. Now AC Man looking for revenge, trying to get this ball back onto the offensive for him, but now Hofstra looking really solid. They're now finally on the upper foot.
Oh, there's new spectator. Okay, sorry. There's new spectator stuff. And as FBI talked about, I'm casting EGFC. That means I'm keeping track of the demolitions. That was the second one. As I always do, as is tradition. 3 minutes, 8 seconds on the clock. Like we were saying, a lot of offensive pressure from Hofstra against UConn so far.
Yeah, and
with a lot of these takeaways that we just saw, like literally right there. It's a perfect example.
Yeah, these guys are trading the ball so back and forth. This game is looking a lot more even than the first game. We also just got to quick confirm that it is actually Ackman, not AC Man.
Okay,
but
good.
you know, shout outs to him. He's been playing.
That was gonna get this confusing if we get with that.
Yeah, he's been having some fantastic Rocket League play today, so kudos to him. And Disaster trying to look to set up another one, but Kyle already there to take the defend.
Yeah, trying. See, something I just noticed about the past couple UConn offensive pushes is like things like that. The ball gets just a little bit away. The UConn player almost looks like timid down bottom, and then just say screw it, rotate all the way around now. They've been up in the lead all of game one. Now with that, fantastic, well set up play. They did not abandon. Results in the score, results in the tie. 2 minutes 22 on the clock. So that's 1-2-2-1 across the the Epic and I were having fun with that yesterday.
Nice, yeah, a good reflective score there. But honestly, a shout out to Chirpa and his duo there. They did a fantastic job forcing the ball, getting 2 commits, and then just going right for that goal touch. Disaster trying to go for a ceiling shot here. Unfortunately, going a little too high on the backboard.
Yeah, again, UConn has just been hitting these balls a little bit too farther away from him. As I say that, Chirpa, of course, proving me dead wrong with some very impressive, and fancy footwork, keeping that ball and maintaining possession. Now Kyle with a very solid knockaway, but just like that, Ackman, I should have never said anything. Ackman, with a good, solid setup. And that made for a disaster shot, but just not quite there. Defenders doing a great job on the side of Hofstra.
Yeah, and Hofstra, you know, with that so much offensive pressure coming out of UConn this entire game, they're just ready and willing to play this defend. And, you know, they just already know what's to be expected. Like we said earlier, they already played against UConn last week, so this is their second game against them. And since this is a double round robin, this is their last game against them. So Hofstra is really going to try to go 1-1 now in this series.
Interesting, yeah. So, of course, the head-to-head matchups will be the third metric by which these brackets are considered. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Overall record, and then map count, and then head-to-head matchup, correct?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, so this is not a team that wants to fall deficit in that metric.
Yeah.
Head-to-head always being an interesting one.
Yeah, and now with 1 minute left on the clock, teams tied up at 1-1 means that these last few seconds, the next score is going to make it happen, and Magic's incredible coming out of nowhere to make that goal happen.
Beautiful stuff. So, yeah, another minor correction. Sorry about that. I was saying this as Malik earlier, as the font was a little bit different. I thought that J was an L. It was a J. That's Magic. That's a very good point. 2-1 now in 48 seconds. If this game continues on the trend, David, then it's over. It's been very, very low scoring so far. Both teams do a fantastic job on defense. And again, this follows around the previous precedent set in this matchup. Neither UConn nor Hofstra is going to score again in this main game.
Well, yeah, but I think this is incredible. You know, Hofstra coming out, showing that they still have a really great fighting chance against UConn. You know, UConn, although they went 4-0, like we mentioned, between the 2 games, Hofstra did a great job of resetting their mentality for this game too, knowing that they still had a great chance of coming back.
Exactly. One of the things I'll probably be asking about in our post-match interview at Third Demolition is about warm-ups. I always think they're so important. Now, down to 5 seconds, Hofstra in the driver's seat. Just one single solid hit away. This game is over. That's now Hofstra up. A very close game, if there ever was one, David. 1-1 tied in series.
Yeah, and honestly, makes it seem like we have a really fantastic series on our hands, in my opinion, because of the fact that we have so much competitiveness in this series. I love to see series go kind of back to back. Obviously we're here for a great day of Rocket League, so we wouldn't want to see as many stomps that we sometimes do see in the EGF Collegiate Power Series. Sometimes we do have really stacked groups where one team is really strong, one team is the other. But I'm happy to see Hofstra come back swinging against UConn.
Come back swinging, they did indeed. Swinging for the fences, doubling up on the score. That's 2-1. A very impressive performance. Like you said, we always talk about momentum. We always talk about, the real. Momentum. I just use the word momentum. I'm just going to use it again. The real momentum that a team that is in the lead and goes throughout series does have. Now, what I'm looking at is Hofstra is just simply woken up a little bit, right? They got their warm up in. They have identified the UConn team that they played against this team last week.
So
any ideas on that one?
Yeah, they're playing each team twice. So there are 4 groups. I believe 8 groups total. Each group has 4 teams. So it's a double round robin in each group. So in Group 2 we have UConn, Hofstra, I believe it's Syracuse and Duquesne.
Got it. Okay, thank you. So individual divisions and whatnot like that. We'll get a little bit more information on that. But we're in Game 3. We're at least going to see a Game 4, David.
Dude, I'm definitely excited to at least see a Game 4. Chirple already going for a setup play on his own, but like I mentioned earlier, those UConn guys just a little out of sync today. So, honestly, if they find that little bit of sync, like we mentioned throughout this entire match, I definitely think they could dominate this series pretty aggressively. But because of those little mistouches, those mistouches mean so much, especially in these 50-50 challenges for Rocket League.
Yeah, both of these teams will take an advantage just from cleaning up the edges. The more mundane Rocket League movements and procedures. Just like I said, cleaning those up a little bit. Ball control, coordination, offense when you need to go on offense, and defense when you go on defense. You've been saying that so far today. The defensive rotations are coming through early, no matter what, whether it's a good idea or bad idea. Right? Clean up the edges, clean up the little things.
Yeah. And I think that's the main difference between these two teams today. We look at Hofstra. They're already setting up these center balls for each other. They're already looking to make these fantastic plays, but, UConn just off by a little bit. Obviously, I think their solo play on the UConn side is better. But because of that little bit lack of team play today, it's going to be a lot more challenging for them to come back in this series.
It is a team-based game, and it's not 2v2s. We're 3v3s, so that coordination, that communication is going to be more important than ever. And I really have to agree with you there. I talk all the time about best performing versus most improved, and most improved is always hands down my more important precedent to set. Best performing is up and down, most improved being more important to me. So that would definitely Hofstra thus far.
Yeah.
3 minutes 15, but.
Yeah, and definitely something completely different from what we're seeing that we saw in Game 1. We saw UConn mostly control the pressure on that game, but now Hofstra looking like they have the better ball control, looking like they have been winning these challenges a lot more, but now finally back on the defense, UConn putting their money where their mouth is and showing off their super hyper offense.
Yeah, the tale of the tape here, the narrative has been that these games are going to go for a while. In game number 1, we saw UConn strike early very, very quickly. But since then, really, we're looking at multiple minutes in between goals. Even those last 2 in the game number 1 came in a little bit later. Now, Ackman, that's a score almost exactly halfway through. So talking about averages, it's 2.5 minutes per goal.
Yeah, and definitely UConn. Although we have discredited them for different plays of being a little bit out of sync, the big thing for them is that they can have so many shot attempts throughout the entire day, and if you're putting up 10 shot attempts, as long as one of them goes through, that's all that matters. And now we're sitting here at 2-0 now for UConn.
Yeah, the classic 1v1 neutralization into the second player. We've seen it all before. We've seen it. We'll see it all again. Only 4 seconds on that second one, so a 2.5 minute average per goal goes down to about a minute 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
Something crazy. 2 up now for UConn. This looking a little bit more like our game 1 after we spent literal minutes saying that it wasn't. Right?
Yeah, unfortunately, but at 2-0 now, the big thing is that UConn has that two-point gap. It means that they can feel like they can play a lot more safely. They can play back a little bit. They can just milk out this time, play a little bit less hyper offensive, and set up these plays a little bit better. especially since they want to tighten this gameplay up since their next match is right after this.
Ooh, Akban getting there just in time. He had the last train home on that one. We'd be looking at 3-0 scoreline right now, if not. 153 as the offensive pressure continues against UConn. Hofstra just wants to continue the story. They want to keep writing this book, keep this ball over towards UConn. Just don't even let them take advantage from their generally really long defensive pops.
And I want to bring up a mistake that I mentioned earlier, that one of the biggest things that Hofstra likes to do is commit 2 or 3 people really close to the ball, and a lot of the times that if UConn can just get a good pass to another player, it means that Hofstra doesn't have much in order to like regain control of the ball. And now, you know, you see a lot of that with Prodigy and with some of these other players like Magic trying to go for individual setup goals for themselves. You know, I want to see more setups for each other. I want to see more ball control out of Hofstra.
Ball control out of Hofstra.
Yeah, and with a minute left,
sorry about that.
No, you're fine. With a minute left, it really looks like, you know, I want to emphasize that ball control point more. They're just passing these balls back and forth. I know it can a lot of the times just be, hey, you win a 50-50 challenge and then you lose a 50-50 challenge, but you know, you have other teammates on the field. I want to see passes happen. I want to see these balls rotated well.
I think that, yeah, this is a UConn team that can stand to just play this one back and forth. They're playing catch with dad in the backyard. There's only 30 seconds left. They're up by 2. There's no need to get fancy with it. But, I mean, offensive pressure continues. Okay, so this is kind of a gamble that they're taking, right? They're saying that Hofstra can't come back with these defensive pops and get it far enough on the other side of the field that it's going to end up in a UConn goal against them, right? I don't know. If we're talking about safe plays, and we're not, you know, talking playoff seeding quite yet, David. But if we're talking about safe plays, this just ain't it.
Yeah, and UConn really showing, you know, that a great offense can be an even better defense, just because, you know, as long as that ball's in your opponent's half of the field, they can't bring it to your half of the field and score. UConn taking game number 3, going to game 4.
Yeah, technically the 7th demolition there at the end, guys. So it's 7 total, 2 games. That's a higher average than normal, I'll say that. UConn taking this one 2-0. The situation that Hofstra was then in there towards the end, you know, down by multiple scores, about a minute left to bring that back after the last UConn score, just like game 1, right? Dealt with this a little bit better, did not let that lead get too unmanageable. Again, in game 1, that was UConn that came through and scored their fourth goal like last second, or even might have been as it was zeroed out. So, yeah, we talk about garbage time. Sometimes that might have been it, but definitively better is Hofstra since game 1. That's the point that we're making here.
I definitely would agree. Definitively better, and we saw that coming out in game 2. So I would love to see more of that coming out in game 4 here. Again, just want to see Hofstra be a little bit more comfortable around this ball. A lot of the times, you know, we do see a lot of ball chasing when, you know, players get nervous, players get in a tense situation, and sometimes when you're down on points, it happens, right? But now, again, new game, just like in game 2, Hofstra still has a fantastic chance of making it a game 5.
Hofstra is also, this entire game, you can kind of see a change up in their play here. They're playing more. What's their? So in football, it'd be man-to-man versus zone coverage. They're playing more zone coverage here, David. They're leaving a man back consistently, respecting UConn's very well-shown ability to get the ball away from that, just like that. Get a pass play over in the corner, get the defender to bite, and just a silver level. Easy peasy pass play.
Yeah.
Disaster's right there in the middle. That's about as centered as you get, Hans.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we did see 2 Hofstra defenders try to go for that and missing both times. But, you know, the big thing I'd like to point out about this first score is that Hofstra played the rotations very comfortably. Like, I was watching the rotations that entire, and it didn't seem like they were clumping up. It seemed like they were more aggressive. They were more comfortable with, like, the communication was there, and it seems like they're about to set up another offensive play, just hitting the crossbar there, unfortunately.
That was Chirpa getting there just in time, calling him a bird because he was flying in there. 3 minutes, 50 seconds or so. Yeah, so, I mean, just like in football, right? You play zone. If it gets realized that you're doing that, then you can, then players can simply get away from their defenders, right? And ball is going to be harder to be intercepted across various zones. Now, we can talk about all that and the differences between those two sports all day, but Rocket League, that's the name of the game. Nice centered play, but just a little bit too high. Chirpa forced to get a little too aerial with it. As Efer came in, he, of course, had to beat him, had to win the 50-50 regardless. Did not want this ball going back over the way of UConn.
Yeah, and UConn showing their regular offense as usual. Just go for as many shots on the goal as you can, right? It seems that they've gotten like 5 or 6 different shots that have all hit the backboard or the crossbar within the last minute, but unfortunately none of them have gone in. Hofstra now finally getting control back and going to try to go for an offensive push. Chirpa unfortunately stops it there.
Yeah, Chirpa is now at least casted neutral, right, in the last 3 50-50s there, keeping the ball on. There's a fourth now. He's done a fantastic job of boost management to get to this ball literally just as soon as defender does. Anybody who's played Rocket League knows it's not the initial hit, it is that rebound, it's that second hit. It's going to send this ball sailing and decide possession of it after that. Now another offensive push. Disaster right where it needs to. A little side swipe on this one. Going to get it where it needs to, but Ackman with a nice defensive pop. This one all the way out now midfield as Kyle intercepts.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that Hofstra offensive push just now. They actually double committed 2 people to go up center to try to force that goal, but unfortunately weren't able to. I definitely would have loved to see one of them try to commit off to the side, try to set off something off the backboard, or even just come back a little later.
Oh!
Unfortunately, Ackman going to try to run that play right back off of them, going for, I believe it was a ceiling shot. Great setup play there from Chirpa.
Now, that's another thing here, right? So, UConn players, that's how they got their first goal. They put this in the corner, they wait for their teammates to set up, and then just really the only thing sitting between them and a score is getting this either on a rebound or just around a defensive player, just simply outplaying them and dribbling around. Yeah. The other man is always in the middle. That UConn man always sends it home 2-0 now for the side of UConn. Again, a very similar situation we've seen so far, Hans.
Yeah, and in this situation with Hofstra, right, if you see these corner setup plays happen a lot, just don't get baited into these corners. Don't ball chase into these corners. Let them try to set up for these plays and commit 1 or 2 people and get them set up in front of the net and block those. Hofstra going for the offensive push, stopped by 2 UConn defenders there.
Yep, and on the other side, we almost saw exactly what UConn is actually doing wrong. They have allowed some really long-range balls to come across. I mean, you're talking 2/3 field sometimes, not just half field, David. And these balls have been on point sometimes, so because UConn has been playing so aggressively the past at least game and a half, these have resulted in scores, whereas Hofstra has found it simply difficult to get that in there when they have an active defender and an actively set up defensive team playing around that goal.
Yeah, and it does come with that price of UConn's incredibly aggressive offense, right? If you're going for these 10 shots on the goal in a minute, that means you most likely are committing 3 offenders. So when Hofstra gets one of those 2/3 shots, like you mentioned, they have to commit their entire team in boosts all the way back to the other side of the field just to make a defensive play, right? So that's why a lot of the times Hofstra is just going to get a goal from across the board.
Yeah, most of those have been that so far. These really just have not come off the back frequently, at least, of bad defensive plays inside of UConn, if players are there again. So 30 seconds or so, the hill getting a little bit taller to climb for Hofstra.
Yeah, and Hofstra going to try to go for one more quick goal here. Gonna set it up here. Unfortunately, it seems that Hofstra's had a lot of issues with taking these corner balls and setting up center plays from them. We've only seen them do it once or twice, and because of that, they're not going to be able to drive out too much advantage. 12 seconds left means that UConn's most likely going to be taking this game.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a Hofstra squad, these New Yorkers who are all frequent flyers. They're all spending a lot of time up top. They're intercepting ball earlier, and it's not like they're lost and alone up there. It's not like they don't know what they're doing. It's just frequently UConn players are sniffing these out, and whereas offending player, obviously, has to come in, get a good angle on the shot. You're looking at defensive players on the side of UConn in these situations that simply have to come forward and then touch this ball. Again, it's not necessarily about the first shot, it's about that second one, it's about that rebound, but just like that, 2-0 in for the side of UConn. This one looking score-wise just like last game.
Yeah, and UConn now officially going to take this series 3-1 against Hofstra. They're going to be coming right back afterwards to play against Syracuse. But for now, I believe we're going to cut to a quick break. We're going to see if we can find someone to bring in for a player interview. So we'll be right back, guys. how do I mute Rocket League for a second? 1 second. Bring us in here in 3, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My name is Hans, joined here by FBI Tugboat, and we have Disaster here, also known as Mitch, here from the UConn squad. Disaster, welcome to the cast, and congratulations on your first match win.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, so...
Sir, I just had a couple questions for you, Disaster. FBI Tugboat here with Hans on the EGFC. So, you guys came through UConn. You had pretty similar games after Game 2, right? The first one coming through a little bit more uneven, but Hofstra striking back in Game 2. Games 3 and 4, 2-0s on both of them. So what I want to ask about is, did UConn come through and were they warmed up? Because it kind of seemed like the Game 1, again, was just a little bit different. Games 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, we were a little shaky starting off. It was just all about rotations, trying to keep pressure on Hofstra defense.
Fair.
We figured it out a little bit towards the end of the series there.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, you guys got to play Hofstra a little bit last week. And coming into this week, did you guys change up your strategy at all? Especially going into this Game 2, where Hofstra ended up taking that win. What was hard for you guys to deal with if you guys did end up changing your strategy for that loss?
From last week to this week, Hofstra definitely has become a little bit more consistent. They were definitely playing much better this week. I think that's why we dropped one of those games there. But we just try to keep pressure, try to go quicker than them, beat them to challenges, win our 50s, stuff like that.
I got it. I like the answer. You know, respect for Hofstra and the progress that they have come, but still, you know, in the winner's seed. I like it. Sportsmanlike, that's the word that I'm looking for. But the second question, last question I have for you here, Disaster. What was the advantage that your team, again that's UConn, took over Hofstra when pressure was applied?
We were a little shaky with the consistency of our hits, but I think we did fix that a little bit. That was our biggest issue that we tried to fix. We did, I think, have more consistent shots on net than them, and that was our biggest advantage.
Yeah.
So the consistency, I like it.
Yeah, definitely a lot of offensive pressure coming out from you guys. And just to wrap up this interview, you guys are, again, just beating Hofstra, now going up against Syracuse. I believe you didn't get to play them last week. They are the only other undefeated team in this group. What are your thoughts going into this next match against Syracuse?
I think the three of us are pretty confident going into this match. We've been pretty dominant so far, but we do have to respect them. They are undefeated too.
Cool, calm, and collected, but again, still respectful. I like it.
Yeah, great to hear from you guys. And thanks again for taking this time to drop us an interview. For now, we're going to be cutting... Yep. Thanks again, man. And for now, we're going to be cutting to a quick break. We'll be right back with UConn versus Syracuse coming right up. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the EGF Collegiate Power Series. My name is Hans, joined by FBI Tugboat like we were in the last game. And now we have another exciting series to bring you. We have UConn back up on the lineup against Syracuse, both teams now undefeated in Group 2.
Yes, sir. Group 2 is only 2 teams in this division. Each of the 8 divisions has 4 teams. And Syracuse, UConn will be going at it today. Now, I guarantee you, obviously, that one of these teams will be going home with an L next to their name today. Cannot be 2 winners.
Yeah, so we're probably going to start seeing who's going to start trickling to the top of the pool here. And the big thing is this is one of their first games against this mirror match, UConn-Syracuse. We'll see another one of these games because it is a double round robin. So, you know, one team can take it here, but another team can bring it right back down the line.
Yes, sir. First game will determine who gets advantage first. Other team obviously wanting to come back, tie that up, and at least make that metric by which ties are decided at least even. That's what I'm trying to say. Jack, Hush, and no, this is Patrick, who will henceforth be referred to as Patrick, making up team of Syracuse. This is UConn, Chirpa, Ackman, and Disaster. We just saw in last game a 3-1 victory over Hofstra. David, what are we looking at?
You know, honestly, I think the biggest thing here is that UConn is already warmed up. You know, we saw them already play a game, and they're already applying that offensive pressure that we saw last game. You know, go for as many shots as possible. That is UConn's game, and that's what they're going to try to play for. Unfortunately, it looks like the defensive side now for Syracuse is a lot more tough for them to deal with instead of Hofstra.
Yeah, so far, Syracuse has done a great job of interacting with UConn players when the offensive pressure is on. Continuing that on really is going to be the test of time here as we are heading about a minute into this game. No real advantage, but again, David, all of this offensive pressure has been against Syracuse so far.
Yeah.
Perfectly centered ball, and UConn players not there. Hate to see it. Now offensive pressure starting against Syracuse, or it's starting against UConn, excuse me, for the first time in this matchup.
And, you know, this is something that we still kind of saw coming out of the first game, just like Disaster had mentioned in that player interview. They're just a little bit off of sync, and again, they're a little bit more warmed up. I assume, you know, during this time of that first game, Syracuse tried to get in a match in online. Hush, gonna get that first score, though.
Yep, so what we were watching was this UConn player that burned out all the boost as he was coming over the top, or trying to come in the bottom, excuse me. Boost management, you know, boost being the one real resource you have in this game outside of time. It's very, very important to manage those resources, just in this esport, just like any others. Moving along, 3 minutes 30 on the clock. Offensive pressure started against Syracuse again. UConn was not able to do anything with last time.
Yeah, and just a lot of back and forth now. Syracuse finally getting that first point, like you had mentioned, means that they're going to feel a little bit more safe. Their defense has just been absolutely stellar against the UConn squad here. You know, we mentioned earlier how they're just being so offensive, and you know, if you have the perfect shield, it can beat any spear.
I like it. Hans here on the mic. Hush, the fantastic block there. As we hit about 3 minutes on the clock. This is Chirpa that we've seen several times. I have chided UConn several times for going for the defensive rotation a little bit early, but what we saw here and more recently is Chirpa doing great jobs of taking this one away while his UConn teammates are playing exactly where they need to. The ball, what it's looking like, where the play looks like it's going, is the offensive pressure against Syracuse, but Chirpa has been taking these away, and as I ramble on, Jack coming through here, it was Syracuse, or it was UConn who was finding value in repeated offensive shots last game once. Now Syracuse doing that to them, and that is not a great thing to shake out of that tree so far.
Yeah, I think the bigger thing for Syracuse isn't the fact that they're going for, you know, 10 shots and trying to get one in, right? They're going for very calculated 1 or 2 shots that you're almost always going to get in. And the bigger, also, huge thing is, you know, we talk a lot about UConn's offensive rotations, right? I want to mention Syracuse's defensive rotations. There are a lot of the times where, you know, UConn's going for this dribble and both at 1, if not 2 members are already there in the air knowing exactly where to be to stop this ball. Syracuse's defense has been off the charts.
Yeah, driver's looking like a little premonition somewhere in the head, because these forecasts have been called like the weatherman. Very, very long beforehand. Now Jack looking like a bowler here with the ball kept right on the ground. No bounce on this one. None needed, as that was just an absolute runaway. Jack, Patrick, and Hush all pretty much close to this one. Not for lack of trying, though, as Patrick. He was trying to get that number next to his name.
Yeah, and, honestly, like I mentioned earlier, these are just such meticulous plays coming out of Syracuse. It seems like they just have their game in higher control, right? You saw them, there were just 2 players walking up to the net, free as can be, going for that last shot, and it seems that they just have so much control over this game overall.
Yeah, the offensive pressure and time of possession has definitely been going the way of Syracuse so far, and the time that UConn has spent in the driver's seat, the ball possession has just simply not yielded the same results in any way, shape, or form. Syracuse up 3-0 as we're hitting about 90 seconds on this clock, David.
Yeah, and the biggest thing to note, if you look down in this bottom left stat score, right, you see a lot of these UConn players, 2 shots, 3 shots, 1 shot, but 0 goals, right? You look at these players for Syracuse, 3 shots, 2 goals, 1 shot, 1 goal, 2 shots, 2. They're just very consistent gameplay coming from them because they just know how to control this ball offensively as well.
Sherpa with the attempted flip reset. It is one of the hardest things in Rocket League, and without momentum like that, it's going to be damn near impossible. So, 50 seconds or so. Sherpa with another intercept bout mid-game. That has been his his calling card, his signature move. What he gets when that hype meter is at 100. That's always what he does.
Yeah, and I think the bigger thing, we have 40 seconds left. This is very much looking like Game 1 of the last series where UConn was just quite dominating. UConn now needing to reset that mindset like we mentioned in that first series, but the biggest thing for me for UConn to improve their play going into this next series is that they've been doing the same thing like they did last game, triple committing 3 cars onto this offensive side of the field, which is why we saw that third goal from Syracuse. They were just able to just run it past them and walk it into the goal, right? I wanted just to have UConn just keep one person a little further back, keep one person near the goal, just to make sure you always have someone on the defense, and then just continue playing your regular game.
This is Syracuse looking to make it 4-0, just like UConn did against Hofstra in game number 1. Man, Hans here pointed it out. This one looking very, very similar to the last matchup. Just the narrative has been reversed. The script has been flipped. UConn now on the losing side of those scoreless games. Looking across here, lots of shots coming out from UConn. Like you said, they were almost double digits. I think they were at 9, 4, 4, and 1 respectively, and none of those going in. Syracuse just with some very dominant defensive stops. Looking at their side, I think every player also had a save as well. So that's just saying the Syracuse squad is playing very, very. Extremely varied, extremely different, right? Nobody playing one offensive or defensive role exclusively.
That's definitely a great assessment of their team. They just have such great individual performances coming out of each player here. And, but the biggest thing for me going into this game is that UConn, we mentioned a bunch of mistakes that they've been able to work on and go into this next game and try to prepare for, right? And I think coming off of losses, that's really big. If you know what your mistakes are, it's easier for you to fix. And on losses, you're generally prone to making more mistakes. So, acknowledge your mistakes, look to improve on them, and continue playing the game.
All right, it's typical tugboat anecdote time. I always say it. If you take an L, you learn nothing from that L, then you have effectively lost twice. UConn coming through, though. Looks like they've learned a little bit of something, right, David? Yeah,
a great corner shot, knowing that Jack is going to just be there. He actually passes it to Jack and lets him take the score himself. So, really great play coming out of Chirpo.
Little stop hitting yourself action, right? Do you have any older brothers, David?
I fortunately have 2 older sisters, but we didn't get stop hitting yourself as much as stop pinching me.
There it is, gotcha. And I'm sure someone was really low-key with it, and Mom and Dad never caught him. That was my older brother, that son of a gun.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
1 minute in, advantage UConn. Very frequently, these Rocket League games do go the way of the team who scores first. We'll see if UConn is able to continue that tide going their way.
Yeah. And UConn has been playing pretty slow games across the board today, so I wouldn't be surprised if this, this goes another 1 or 2 more minutes with it being another scoreless game. UConn also having a great defense now, finally showing off their defensive prowess since they've mostly been playing on that offensive side of the field. They can just try to slow this game down, although the point gap is only 1 and it can still be anybody's game, just slow the game down as much as you can.
All right, that was Patrick there. Kind of showing off a little bit. There's a soccer, it'd be fancy footwork, getting past not 1 but 2, and then ball gets a little bit farther away from him, and perhaps that is like an elongated metaphor for how Syracuse has been playing, right? Get past 1, get past 2, you gotta do the third one, and the ball just gets away from you a little bit too much because you're simply going too fast.
Yeah.
I just, again, we talked about last one, cleaning up those edges, getting the perfection of the small stuff going, and that is, I've been keeping track, that is the 11th demolition. This one actually mattering a little bit more, though, right?
Yeah. Chirpa literally getting demoed exactly where the ball came in. So if Chirpa had just been there and had just boosted up a little bit, he would have been able to make that save. Fantastic demolition, like you mentioned, to make sure that this ball goes in. Tie game now.
Yeah, and that coming off the back of an offensive demolition, not something that Syracuse is going to be too happy about. And we just got to mention this one as well, right? That was UConn's. This has been UConn's only goal. Now with tying this up, they're no longer in the driver's seat. Syracuse was in the lead for a while, or UConn was in the lead for a while. Excuse me. They want to continue that. How they perform here will spell out the rest of this game.
Yeah, and with 2.5 minutes left, I mentioned earlier, I thought this was going to go another minute and a half or two without scoring, but the action's just going to keep coming on here from both sides. UConn going to try to keep up that offensive momentum, like we've seen throughout the first series as well. Such a close save from Patrick Ackman. Going to try to go for another shot there, but unfortunately, Hofstra now going on. Sorry, Syracuse now going on the offense. Yeah,
that was no. This is Patrick spreading out like a starfish in front of the Syracuse goal. Love to see it. Arms outstretched, and the equivalent here, of course, is the 180 side of that car, flat as it can be. Now Patrick with another offensive push, and just like that, that's Syracuse who turns some explosions into an advantage.
Yeah, and a great corner shot from Hush, knowing that he just takes the ball out to the right, doesn't have to score it straight down the line, let his teammates get the demolitions that he needs, and honestly, that's another huge thing to point out of this Syracuse lineup. They've been getting fantastic demolitions throughout this entire series.
Yes, taking advantage of those, always big. The respawn time on that still being 3 seconds, but of course your fate is almost always decided by which side to spawn on. No predictability on that one. 135 is Disaster and UConn now getting a little bit aggressive. A little bit of vehicular manslaughter out there, if you will.
Yeah, and now at a minute and a half, oh my god, I'm looking at this time, and if I had to give a shot to anyone in this game to be MVP, I would 100% have to say, no, this is Patrick. He's been incredibly clutch. The name is fantastic, but he's been incredibly clutch on defense, getting to multiple saves, and there are a lot of the times where I look up and he's just already 3/4 of the way down the field and makes it back in time to be on defense. Great score by him now.
Talk about the caster's curse. That's the caster's blessing, perhaps. A little bit of hype action coming out from Hans leads to an electrifying goal if there ever was one. Or that was, what's a good freezing pun? I don't know. Freezing him out. Something like that. A nice little animation there at the end. 1 minute, 7 seconds. Is UConn looking to score twice at least. Last little bit. He's pushed us to overtime, a little bit of tight action. Yeah,
Ackman trying to go for a wall shot off the side there, but unfortunately not going to be able to make it. Chirpa now on the defense, going to try to bring it back on the offense, but I wanted to note something there off of the last score. I love, this is Patrick's commitment to his username. Like, his icon is Patrick on the phone saying, no, this is Patrick. I love it.
The commitment, I mean, me and Nevik have a lot of fun talking up the various artistic elements of this game of Rocket League, and like you said, the commitment to his trade. Love to see it. 25 seconds to go. Down by 2 is UConn. What do they need to do in this last 22 seconds to tie this up? Dump it all on offense or what?
I mean, definitely, I would say if there's only 15 seconds left on the clock, go your normal game plan, dump everything in on offense. You have to get an opening goal to even tie the game up, and, just go for those 10, 15 shots on goal like you're normally used to, but with 3 seconds left on the clock and no shots on goal, UConn unable to do that. Syracuse takes game 2.
Yes, sir, that's 3-1, so UConn was still there. They answered, they got themselves their goal. Perhaps that is the break in the pattern that they need. UConn, though, now with back against the wall, they're looking at a game 3 and a last shot against Syracuse. Both of these teams undefeated up to this point. But as of right now, David, looks like UConn might be the one going home with that L. Yeah,
and I think for UConn specifically, they've come off such, I would say, like an easier line of matches, right? They've played Hofstra twice. They played Duquesne. which, you know, they've been able to win pretty handily from what we've seen. And now they faced their biggest challenge in this group, and now they have to kind of strap their boots down, right? You know, you come off of these easier matches, and sometimes like you have that arrogance about you, right? And you take that into this next match, and sometimes that arrogance can be your undoing.
It will be arrogance or confidence, one negative, one positive for sure. How you manage that, you know, your mental faculties. We talk all the time about that. Having such an advantage here in the competition, pressure's on. How doth you perform? How that's gonna and that's gonna have an effect on every single game of your life. 20 seconds in, no clear advantage quite so far, but we have seen Demolition. We have seen Syracuse with a lot of pressure so far. See how this turns out and if this continues.
Yeah, and UConn now officially back on their full offense. Wow, 3 people already committed to this offense, like we typically see out of this UConn squad. But, you know, with this triple commit means some amount of issues, right? Hush now going on the offense, sees only Disaster on the goal. Disaster going up just a little too early means that they're able to score a goal at 4 minutes 17 on Syracuse side.
Yep, Disaster with not enough boost under him. That's Hush silencing them. Love it. 45 seconds in, Hush scoring for the side of Syracuse. Now UConn scored first last time, and that ultimately had no end effect on the overall result. Now Syracuse came through with 3 scores, one after the next, and UConn not able to put up another one. UConn looking to get more of a performance out of this game. This is their last shot.
Yeah, I want to apologize a little bit to the audience there. Unfortunately, we're doing a little bit of a radio cast for that first score just because a little bit of a screen issue. But now, Hush immediately bringing the action back to you and dropping a second goal for you to see.
Yeah, just like that, too. Syracuse with 2 in the first minute. First 2 games at least a little bit slower, right, David?
Yeah, first minute, I want to say even a little bit faster compared to these past few games, right? You know, we even saw like 3 minutes of one of the games in that first series be scoreless, and now with, you know, a little of almost 4 minutes left on the clock, to score up is a pretty good advantage to have.
Indeed, indeed. And now another typical tugboat anecdote. A lead of 1 is no lead indeed in Rocket League because of the overtime rules, of course. So, see, you know, 2 is little beginnings of 1. See how that goes, and yeah, I think you and I definitely agree. Games of the past have gone with higher score totals much earlier, or much later, excuse me. Like you said, full minutes sometimes going in between scores, and 2 in the first minute and some change is definitely significantly faster. Chirpa in his natural position, which is right next to that ball. Nice pass down the middle, but Patrick stopping this one.
Yeah, I swear I just saw Patrick and Hush try to make a duo play on offense, and I turn around right back onto defense, and he's already in front of the net. Where does Patrick come from? Where does he get these boosts from magically? I don't understand.
Yep, there you go. The offensive defensive jersey switched very, very quickly. Both these players again showing prominence in Rocket League, the ability to play any part of the field and kind of roll. Now Jack taking advantage of that one, getting away from UConn player, and that's just kind of a problem that UConn's had all day long.
Ooh,
just like that, Jack punishing that takeaway.
Yeah, and I believe UConn coming off that net was unable. Yeah, Ackman just missing the ball there, and Chirpa also, unfortunately, 2 defense misses means a goal. Now 3-0 in the lead for Syracuse, only halfway through the game here, Tugboat.
Yeah, Hofstra, first game, that was UConn who was punishing them for not being able to keep it up through, you know, attempts number 2, 3, 4, even sometimes. Now it's UConn who's not able to keep up with the pressure once Syracuse adds, you know, multiple offensive plays and multiple shots. So, see how they manage with those a little bit later on in the game, but 2 minutes to go, and we're looking at least 3 goals necessary for the side of UConn to tie this one up. 4 goals now, making that a little bit harder. This mountain has become just that much taller. Yeah,
and Jack with a great angle with the ball, I think right off the goalpost, kind of gets just a little bit, wow, he came in from upside down for just a little bit of style there for Mr. Jack. But I want to bring it back a little bit to the interview that we just had with Disaster here. You know, he was mentioning that, like, hey, we're still going to respect these guys, but, you know, they felt pretty confident going into this matchup. Now, unfortunately, the confidence has kind of flipped back over onto them, and with 2 minutes left, how does UConn come out of this hole?
They've had Chirpa come forth and intercept these balls consistently, almost allowing him to play that front man, that point man position. while Ackman and Disaster realize that there is miles left in this trip, but not much gas left in the tank, if that makes any sense, right? They're down by 5. There's their game 3. There's their last shot. Let Sherpa play this ball, take passes from him when is necessary, but otherwise, that's your point man. Let him go forth and get it done.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's gonna be looking like with the lead of 5-0 to Syracuse side and a minute and a half left, it's gonna be so difficult for UConn to come back into this, and because of that, I think UConn might just be looking to see if they can bring it back in the next series against Syracuse at this point.
Yeah, if you're going to play on offense, you got to, again, there's not much of a point in playing defense if you're UConn anymore. You're down significantly. It's only going to get worse. Put it on offense, see what happens. Shake that tree, see what falls out.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, sometimes, if you shake the tree, you get a wasp nest in an Animal Crossing. And sometimes when you shake the tree, you get some money. But Ackman, he's going to try to make another play happen here with a minute left on the clock. Unfortunately, it means that they have to average a goal every 10 seconds now.
Yeah, I made that analogy yesterday, and Navik said the same exact thing. I've actually not played it all, just using it as a typical analogy. I don't know. I thought I should talk about fruit, but oh well. That's usually what happens. That's usually what falls out of a tree when you shake it. I don't know. I haven't played Animal Crossing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries,
wasps
man.
And honey and stuff. But 30 seconds, man. 5 scores a goal. We are looking at a point where it is chronologically impossible for UConn to come back. It would require Syracuse to just put down those controllers. Not going to happen.
Yeah, but honestly, at least UConn, every point matters. There are some tie-breaking advantages here, just to even get a point here or there. So definitely still going to try to play to the best of their abilities. But like you mentioned, with 10 seconds left on the clock here, 5 score difference, mathematically impossible. And with it being counted down, Syracuse is just going to try to let the ball touch the floor.
Yep, just go ahead and end this one out. Everybody realizes, no, debating your casters. Love to see it. Very dominant performance. In fact, the most dominant performance of this matchup, right? 5-0 after Syracuse did allow a single score from UConn last game. First game was the same story. 0 scores to the side of UConn. We'll be looking to improve that performance if they see Syracuse later on in the season. They have played the round-robin matches. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it is a double round robin, so UConn does get another chance at Syracuse. And like we mentioned earlier in the cast, is UConn a little bit confident coming into this? And sometimes that can lead to a bit of overconfidence, right? But for now, we're going to throw it to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have a member of Syracuse's University's team here for an interview, so don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Here we have This is Patrick from the Syracuse University team. You did a fantastic job this match today, Patrick.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have a little interview action for you. A couple questions coming right at your face. First one from me. Offensive, defensive player outside of UConn, your opponents. Who was really playing their role the best, offense or defense, again, side of UConn?
No, honestly, I think they were played pretty well in the midfield. I think Ackman probably did the best for their team. I think he was
Okay.
holding them together.
Gotcha. And
Ackman's
Ackman definitely doing fantastically alongside Chirpa there. And even alongside you, you were one of the players that I pointed out the most during this match, being a little bit of everywhere. Who was one player on your team, performed well with you? A lot of the times we do see some star players, but obviously this is a team game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think Hush did a really good job passing the ball around today. And I mean, can't forget about Jack's turtle goal.
Yeah, Hans was tripping about that one. It was a good one. It was a very good one. I think it was Ackman who was on the defensive stop there, not able to get it done. But so we had a 3-0 today. 0 scores for the side of UConn, then a 1-3 scoreline for Syracuse, of course, and then 0 scores for UConn again. Syracuse scoring all of those in the last one. I want to ask, this was the only other actually undefeated team in your bracket. What did you know? This is Patrick. Expectation-wise, scoreline. That's what I meant. Sorry, scoreline. What did you expect for this game?
I thought it was actually going to be pretty close because coming in, watching our matches against the other two teams in our group that we each played, the matches were pretty close, and I think they actually did better against Hofstra. So I did expect it to be close. And the games really weren't that bad. I mean, 3-0 might not show the whole picture of what happened, but...
A good point.
Yeah, definitely. I think UConn has had incredible offensive pressure in some parts of those games, but you guys were able to control that ball really, really well. Now, defeating the only other undefeated team like Tugboat mentioned here, how does it feel like being at the top of your group? You only have to play UConn one more time, which is one of your major threats, before you potentially go into the final rounds.
Yeah, it feels really nice having to at least play all the other teams and know we can beat them. It's good.
Yeah, and that's always fantastic to hear. And, Patrick, thank you again for taking this time to talk with us and have this interview with us. And good luck for the rest of your games. I believe you have another match next week.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
They're 3-0. He doesn't need luck.
Yeah, all skill from the top of the mountain here. But for now, we're going to cut it to another quick break. We will be right back with Group 1 for the day. Group 2 is officially done. So we will be seeing University of North Dakota take on Wichita State University right when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the EGF Collegiate Power Series. My name is David Hans Chen. Joined beside me is Jordan, FBI Tugboat Fitzpatrick, and we are now heading into Group 1 of the day. First game here is University of North Dakota versus Wichita State University.
Yes, sir. We saw a couple of other groups getting it going here today. North Dakota taking on Wichita. North Dakota made up of Altoid, that's Red Rocket, and that's Cannonball. My co-caster here has got you with Wichita.
Yeah, and Wichita here, Burger Town, Swan Dog, and Parzival. Some interesting cast of names here. And we are just about ready to hop into game here. And I'm very excited for this. Parzival.
I have to wonder if that's a play on the name Percival, perhaps?
I would definitely have to assume so.
Who knows? Who knows? There's theory crafting at its worst, which is, of course, my calling card. So, we're going to say the Parzival's first name is Percival. I don't know. Altoid over here, that's going to be the easiest first shot of a game we've seen in a while, and actually, we might have a little bit of player interaction here, David.
Yeah, we're going to check if we might need a restart here.
Yep. Alright, so we'll be back with you guys in just a second. We are going to be restarting servers. Sometimes you get a bad one. That's Rocket League, and that's life for you. Sometimes luck is just...
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry again for the issues. We had some Rocket League server issues, but we're bringing it right back to you. And UND already trying to kick it off with another opening goal, but unfortunately, Wichita back in action, ready on the defense.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, Wichita, you get one of those calls if you give up another, 3-second goal to University of North Dakota. You can't call that server again. I'm just playing around. They almost let that happen again, so would not have wanted that one. 30 seconds to go. This is Wichita on the defense so far. This ball is spending most of its time up in the air at Calderberg.
Yeah, and definitely in the air, like you mentioned. Not much air challenging here coming out of both sides early on, but, a lot of the time this ball has just been sitting in the center, getting passed back and forth, so not much going on, unfortunately, in this game so far.
Okay, so obviously, to an extent, what is going on right now is players are consistently challenging each other to go up there and show that aerial advantage, that what they can do up top. Can you get up there and can you maintain ball and can you maintain your car? That in and of itself is kind of a one-on-one challenge, right?
Yeah, and just on the crossbar there from Mr. Cannonball. His rest of his team, Altoid, trying to follow out, but Cannonball is going to lose a little bit of control here, and Swan Dog's going to try to make this offensive push happen.
I'll say it again. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, Hans. I wish I was a fish. No, I'm just kidding. That there was a time of possession counter in Rocket League. Something that was just little center dots on the ball turn red or blue depending on who touched it last. I would love it. We would be able to use that metric. But it's Altoid here striking first. University of North Dakota making themselves known.
Yeah, and a great job from Altoid setting up the ball for himself, knowing Swan Dog. Seeing the Swan Dog commit on him on defense means that he just sets it up off the backboard himself and goes for the goal. But like you said, great feature that Rocket League could have with that possession timer. Another thing that really would be nice, I think, a mini map. obviously just for spectators, just to see where your team is rotating and stuff like that. That'd be kind of interesting. But back into the action here, Swan Dog trying to go for some offensive pressure.
We're kind of mid-game here. We can talk about that a little bit. I think a mini-map would be good, but mostly for casters to kind of be able to represent where players are and stuff, right?
Exactly.
Especially given that you wouldn't be on a 2D map, you wouldn't be able to tell, if a car was upside down or something, obviously, right?
Exactly.
If they're flying through the air, it might be a little bit hard to indicate that, like a little sensory overload. But I like your idea, Hans. We should petition Psionics, or should I say Epic, I guess, right? Outright.
Yeah, it's just that, we as casters, we don't always have a rear view mirror like some of these cars can potentially do. But Parzival trying to go for more offensive, just trying to keep the defensive pressure up, my fault. But getting a shot all the way across the field, Cannonball able to intercept.
Yeah, Burger Town and Swan Dog have done pretty good jobs of intercepting this one half field so far. They're definitely going to want to be able to continue that up against a University of North Dakota team that has made several good plays so far, only one of them resulting in a point, but several good plays so far that all started from one side but at midfield. Yeah,
and with 2 minutes left in this clock, we definitely have to see a play coming out of Wichita State's side sooner rather than later, especially since both these teams are both 0-2 in this. Oh, Swan Dog off the ceiling almost makes a shot, but is going to follow it up with another one. Parzival scored.
Yeah. What a follow-up. I honestly, no words. Just watch this.
Yeah. Great job from Parzival, knowing that that defender is going to push onto that right side with that ball.
That was about as good as they get. That wall shot there, knowing the angle. Again, that is something that is only possible after hundreds, if not thousands, I would say, of Rocket League. That was not luck. That was a well-coordinated attempt by the well-oiled machine that is this player who has played this game a lot. Can't say enough about it. 1 minute, 30 seconds. Pressure against WSU. That's Wichita over there in Kansas.
And, like I mentioned earlier, both these teams at 0-2 in the bracket right now, so they're both looking to fish for that first match win to at least put them in third place in this bracket. Hopefully, only one team makes it out of each group, so at least puts them on the board. I'm pretty sure that if they take this loss, it's going to be nigh impossible for them to make it to the top of this bracket.
Yes, sir. We'll get the numerical facts for you, the logic behind the stats, right? A little bit later and what they mean necessarily, but in game, with the speculation at its worst, and again, theory crafting is that's my go-to. But yeah, WSU and UND, that's Wichita State and University of North Dakota, still going at it. This has been, I think I can call it, this has been the most even game that we've seen on stream so far tonight, David.
I can definitely agree with you, Tugboat. A lot of the games, very one-sided. We saw, 0-3, 0-4s throughout the day. Now, a 1-1 at 30 seconds left means that, next score is most likely going to mean the game.
Yeah, and it's also not something that has come through, and come off the back of a lot of, a super high-scoring game, right? This would be all the more unlikely if we saw something like a 6 versus 6, but as it is, defenses on both sides really been showing out just a little bit more than our offending teams. A lot of pressure and a couple solid little shots now. Wichita sees their chance. Percival goes in the middle trying to center this one. It's going to be high and a lot of time for UND players to get under that. And we're going overtime.
Yeah, and just as this ball touches the ground here, like you mentioned, overtime ticking through means that officially next ball is going to mean the game. And, with such a low-scoring game so far, this could mean 2 or 3 minutes of overtime.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. We went that long, if not more, David, with no goals in regular time. Definitely could see that in overtime, but that's only if the pressure does not get to these players, of course.
Yeah, and I definitely want to see some more setup plays coming out of both of these sides. A lot of times you kind of just see these teams sort of haphazardly hitting the ball, passing to each other, of course, but, a lot of the teams that we see higher up on the bracket, going for these corner play setups, going for, one person in center, just set it up for another man. But we don't see too much coming out of both teams on that front.
Nah, something we talk about similarities and differences between games, right? Difference that I will pose is both of these teams' defensive rotations earlier on the stream were a little premature at times. I'll say that is definitely not the case for the University of North Dakota and Wichita State University here playing in this barn burner of a match, closest you get, because both of these teams have been very aggressive, and if anything, some defensive rotations could have come a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
No foul quite yet, though.
I definitely would have to agree with some of these rotations coming in just a little sooner. You know, obviously there is definitely some gameplay tightening that can come in from both sides. Like you said, polishing a bit of the details, but Red Rocket setting up a great shot for himself from half court.
Yeah, that was a cannonball there with a nice pass. Red Rocket with the shot, call that an explosive pass and an explosive shot to play off these player names just a little bit. 2-1 victory for the side of North Dakota in a game 1 OT, minute plus 2, right?
Yeah, and like you mentioned, one of the most even games that we've seen this entire series, this entire day so far. So I'm very much so excited to see what both teams have in store for us. Will we see this match going to a Game 5? But yeah, it looks like we are going to ready up here for this next match. We were initially tempted to swap servers, but it seems that all server issues have resolved. Yeah. So going to hop into game 2, Tugboat. The game was so close, right? It definitely could have been anyone's game towards the end. But what does Wichita need to come get the score?
I was not ignoring you, David. I was
you're
thinking
fine.
long and hard about your game 5. Man, does this being the closest game translate into a Game 5 prediction? I'm not 100% sure. I want to see it. I'm a caster. I want to see as many close Rocket League games as possible, and that's the closest Rocket League game possible is 2-2 going into a game number 5. Not sure. What I'll say instead is answer your second question. That's what will we need to see for that to happen. I think if Wichita State kind of plays what we saw Chirpa doing a lot earlier, if they come in with intercepts more often, then they will take an advantage. On the other side, University of North Dakota, I think that if they keep this ball aerial like we sort of started game 1 out, because they were definitely showing more prominence up top, and when this was aerial, they were definitely more comfortable. So I'll say the key to success for North Dakota is playing this ball up in the air. Key to success for Wichita is having at least one player do the same things we saw last game with consistent, aggressive, and confident intercepts.
And I also think that for both of these teams, it's about who makes the least amount of mistakes, right? Or just don't miss any of these challenges, especially in the air. Like you said, that UND's, they're playing fantastically in the air right now, but Altoid doesn't even need the air.
With a refreshing goal, you could say. That was Burgertown getting past the first, Altoid almost getting him back for what he just did to his teammate. 50 seconds in, that's 2 now for the side of North Dakota. The, oh man, I knew it. What is North Dakota State motto? I had it a second ago.
I'm not entirely sure myself, honestly.
Oh well, I had something funny.
Yeah.
But oh well, minute in, North Dakota on top so far.
Yeah, and honestly, I mentioned earlier that Altoid didn't need some air. He actually just had a little bit to jump over his opponent there to go for that last tap into the goal, so kudos to Altoid to knowing exactly where his card needed to be, and he's going to try to go for another setup for himself off the backboard. Unfortunately, he's going to miss.
A lot of pressure, a lot of bouncing here from the side of North Dakota onto Wichita State. Altoid doing a good job of continuing this one. That's as centered as they get, and now a corner shot. Red Rocket with the assist. Red Rocket, excuse me, with the assist there. Now, I do believe if Red Rocket was still not there, that would have been cornered out appropriately. Yeah, that would have been cornered out appropriately if Red Rocket was not there. So you can't really take away too much from him, right? He still played ball, he was still there, and he still put forth a defensive attempt.
Yeah, and a great little tap from Parsball to kind of secure that off, although it was an own goal there. But, you know, it was still fine. Red Rocket still applying a fantastic amount of pressure here, but Wichita State now down 3-0. Even though this game was pretty even to start, Burgertown, great setup from Swan Dog too. Yeah,
flavorful shot on this one now. That's Wichita's first goal, and this one about as open as you get as well, right? Not much opposition from North Dakota on that one.
And like I mentioned earlier, it's about the team that makes the least amount of mistakes, right? And Wichita saw a double commit there on the ball, on defense, and knows how to take advantage of that really well. And because of that, I think Wichita, although they don't have the best defensive side, you know, as we've seen in these past 3 goals from North Dakota, I think they should just pump up that offensive pressure like we saw UConn do. You know, go for those 5, 6, 10 shot attempts, and you know, if you can do that, then you can potentially just tie this game up.
Yeah, the individual performances and how these players do one-on-one. And okay, so no follow-up there by North Dakota. Maybe this was just a longer play and something this play-by-play caster cannot see, because you send it all the way around. You know it's going to be rounded down on a corner and participles around the other side. You can pretty much predict how that one's going to go from there, because no North Dakota players are on top. As I say that, Swan Dog coming through. You want something done? Do it yourself. Yeah,
a great setup from half court. Able to dribble it past the one defender that he had challenge with and set it up for himself.
Was that a pinch at the end? My angle was not correct.
I think he flipped to the left. It was not a pinch on the ground at the end. But now, a lot closer than we saw this game a minute ago. Now only 1 point difference in this game.
I mean, yeah, you asked me if we'd see a Game 5. Still not touching with a 9-foot pole here, Hollis, or maybe a 6-foot pole to keep it relevant, right? Yuck, yuck, yuck. But the close game here in this matchup has been the narrative so far, and 1-1 down to overtime last. Now looking at still only a difference of 1 score. Wichita down by 1, 2-3. I think that's there you go. You gotta love when the players prove you right.
Yeah, and wow, tie score back at it again. You mentioned at the start of the series how even this match already was, and it's just looking more and more even by the second. Bringing it 3 goals all the way back too. So Wichita now having the momentum.
Yeah, that's something else I wanted to touch on. You at least started that one, David, and I appreciate that. This is North Dakota came through. 3 goals in a row, people. Has not been seen so far tonight in games like this that are so close. Then Wichita coming through, answering back in loud, flashy formation. 3-goal run. Doesn't happen that much, especially once the team's on top. What that tells me is the pressure is not getting to any of these players. And both want it like they need their next breath.
Yeah, and it also could even we flash back to match number 2, where UConn was a little bit confident, maybe a little bit overconfident. And that overconfidence now not getting to North Dakota, thank God, and able to get that goal number 4 for the North Dakota side.
Yeah, minute and a half is plenty of time. That's 90 seconds, y'all. Wichita is going to have to continue their performances, which has been University of North Dakota scoring. Wichita scoring back very, very quickly. That would have been a longer range shot. I think the longest one we've seen on stream so far. Altwood can be pretty happy, we'll say, that he got on the other side of that one.
Yeah, for sure. And now back at it again with a minute left. We've seen Wichita pull out a lot out of their out of their deck in order for them to score in a minute. And now North Dakota now putting on this offensive pressure means that it's going to be really tough for Wichita to score.
Yeah, I thought you were going to hit me with the elongated pun, the back at it again, and then do something about vans or cars or something like that. And, I was ready for the full cringe, David. Let's just say that. We'll hit you guys with some terrible puns and wordplay a little bit later, but not yet. This is a close game. 40 seconds to go. Offense pressure against University of North Dakota, and that's exactly what Wichita wants. And a floater in the middle, and Burgertown's just not there. Maybe over busy munching on the side on these speed pockets.
Yeah, I'm curious to see the amount of boost that Burgertown had in that situation. If he had boosted, he would have potentially been able to take that score, but now
he was taking more than he, in my opinion, just have to call it like I see it, right? I'm a play-by-play caster, and that's what I do. Burgertown was taking too much boost over there on the side. Should have backed up the teammate. Should have been there centered, because that ball was a perfect opportunity. A golden goose. 7 seconds to go. Little roller action. Burgertown continues this on, but flack out front leads to a roller on the side. Got to keep this up. Put it in. You only have 1 second to go. Now super high up. Good job of keeping this aerial lead. Team dies there on the ground. North Dakota up 2-0 after a very close game. We're not going to get a 7th overtime, though, David.
Yeah, and a very close game indeed. And towards the end of that game, especially pushing towards overtime, we started seeing some sliver of heavy offensive pressure from Wichita State. And I had mentioned this earlier on. I want Wichita State to take a little bit out of UConn's book. Play hyper aggressive. If you're letting North Dakota be very comfortable on this offense, it's going to just let them steal the game away from you. You want to be the proactive team, the proactive player. Make these plays, make them respond to you.
Yeah, always have the other team reacting to what you're doing. Being the driver's seat, be offensive. Obviously, it's way harder to make mistakes in that defensive role, in that counter-reactive role. Now, first demolition of this matchup so far going, and maybe that's indicative of a Wichita State change in game plan. Maybe we'll see more of those from Wichita.
Yeah, and now getting into this game 3, like you mentioned, not game 5, my fault. Parzival looking to try to take some sort of advantage here.
You want it too much. You want it too much.
I do want it too much, man. I just want some incredible esports, some incredible Rocket League here for the Power Series, and you know, both teams are providing that to us with such an even matchup. Honestly, even if the game goes 3-0, if the games felt even, if the games felt pressure, it's always just a good day of Rocket League for me.
Competitive, awesome esports. You can't spell the Electronic Gaming Federation Collegiate without those. That's not factual, whatever, but I'm going to go with it. 1 minute into this one, about 4 minutes left on the clock. That's a longer range shot and a solid intercept by Burgertown. We give him a little bit of epic tag on top, but Cannonball comes back around and said this offense ain't over. You're taking another one, we're going to score on that one.
Yeah, Burgertown looking to move out to kind of make a play alongside Swandog, kind of overcommits, and Cannonball just jumps right over Swandog to take the touch. Great play from him.
So, I guess, you know, if you have to tailor to take this one, right? Wichita should have hit this ball a little bit farther around. It's kind of a, not a cop-out, it's kind of like just something you do to buy time, to put this ball in the corner when you're trying to get it away, especially when you realize that your offenders are relieving pressure, right? Yeah. Wichita State should have just really manhanded this one, knocked that one farther away, or at least put it aerially. As it is, that led to a cannonball coming in, crashing like a cannonball, one might say, and taking advantage of a Wichita State team that simply was not paying attention at the time, or shifted their attention to the offense. Now we're going on along here. Long story is done by Tugboat, sorry.
No, you're perfectly fine there, Mr. Tugboat. But honestly, the offensive pressure coming out of Wichita for the last few seconds while you were talking there has been something I've been desperately wanting to see, and finally able to make that proactive play. Swandog, great setup from his teammate there, finally tying this game up.
Yeah, so North Dakota's intention there is to kind of pinball this ball around, put the defensive players off their stable feet, have this going around so you don't only have players who don't exactly know where the ball is going to end up in a few seconds, but also players who are rotating from front defense to maybe back defense if they're playing that two-man D once the pressure is super on. So pinball this ball around, and then once you find a good angle, just take advantage of it, and there's going to be players who are simply not expecting that to be coming from that angle because the ball is going so fast.
Yeah, and some couple close corner shots there from UND while we were going on there. But, you know, Wichita been playing defensive for the past bit of time. You know, we see them clump up a lot on this defense. You know, I want them to open up the space, play, you know, a little bit more spread out, rotate a little bit more, get ready. You know, one person on the offense at least to try to intercept one of these passes. Great save again from Burgertown.
Hey, a sloppy save is better than no save at all. That's exactly what we saw from the side of Wichita. Kind of not full control of the carp, doesn't matter. You block the ball, and that's all that matters. Now, just like that, offensive pressure almost relieved, but a good counter reaction from the side of North Dakota.
Yeah, and seeing there, that's another big thing from Wichita. On that defensive ball there, they went for a triple commit. Try to save that ball, which, you know, a lot of the times Wichita has been caught in their you know, with their hands down.
Oh, just there at the end, Red Rocket saves it from teammate. That's a really good point. It's caught unawares, right? The defensive capabilities just not being at peak because of the lack of time to coordinate, and possibly the communications. We obviously don't know what these players are saying in between each other, but just like that, advantage taken North Dakota. Both teams have been in this seat so far. The advantage, the lead, and playing from above. How they perform with it will spell the rest of this game, but Wichita is looking at their last shot.
Yeah, I mean, 2 minutes left on the clock. You still have a good amount of time. You know, 1 point score difference doesn't mean too much, but the faster you can take this score, if you are Wichita, it means the faster you can start setting up another score for yourself, potentially, to even take this game out from under North Dakota before overtime. But North Dakota is definitely not going to let them happen for free.
What's under North Dakota?
No, I said North
South Dakota.
That's true.
I was going for two things there. Either just not knowing what I was saying or saying underwear. You know, right? Okay.
Gotcha.
Right, moving forward here. 1 minute, 15 seconds. We're having fun here on the EGFC. That's the Electronic Gaming Federation Collegiate side. 1 minute 10, and my camera's stuck on a player. There we go. All right, we're back to AutoCam. Nicely done, Percival, tying this one up. Barely a minute left. You know, we're reaching the 11th hour on this one, right? Nobody wants to be taking these with a deficit, with double-digit amount of seconds on the clock.
Yeah, and a great drive down the field from Swandog and Parzival, like you mentioned there. the two of them literally set up basically a full field score there, which is absolutely fantastic. Not something you get to see in Rocket League too often, but great coordination from the players there. Means that it's a tie game with 1 minute left. It means that it's most likely whoever scores next takes the game.
Yeah, I have to agree that it's likely, but many of the metrics of this matchup have not been traditional and predictable Rocket League. What we saw Game 1 go 1-1 for a very long time, and then Game 2, North Dakota go up 3-0. Solid little run. Wichita do the exact same thing. So, very little that this play-by-play caster can predict in this one. 30 seconds to go. I can guarantee you the game's going to be over soon, though. Hans, we're going to have a winner, we're going to have a loser.
Oh, yeah, indeed. And, you know, we mentioned at the beginning of the series that this is one of our closest series, and it has definitely been a nail-biter for sure. Cannonball coming out in the last second, and honestly, you know, if this clock ticks down to 0, this 3-0 doesn't do this game justice, honestly. This game has been so much closer than what a 3-0 looks like.
Yeah, maybe I'll get on that Google Doc, put a little asterisk, and promise to everybody that it was a close game still. Not 100% sure. I think that some of my fighting game community fans would love that one, right? Bracket was still closed, but 10 seconds to go. 3-2 on the clock. Wichita reaching their last opportunity. They're down 2-0 in the series. It's possibly the last game, possibly the match point. Hans reaching the last, and ball stops just like that. University of North Dakota realizes what they have to do, and they do it, and that's just simply ground this ball out. 3-0 victory for them. Like my man Hans here was saying, this one incredibly close. Every single one decided by a score difference of 1, uno, the loneliest number. Yeah,
and just like you mentioned, such close games, man. I would have wanted to see a Game 4, maybe to Game 5. You know, I even mentioned it a couple times throughout the cast.
That's
but
fair.
For now, we are going to kick it to a break. We're going to look for a player to come in. I think we might have Cannonball jumping in here for North Dakota for their winners interview, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now back EGF Collegiate Power Series, where University of North Dakota just took a match against Wichita State University 3-0. We have Cannonball here from University of North Dakota. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. And, you know, we had such an intense nail-biter of a game for you guys today. You guys both started this series in the bracket at 0-2. How did you guys feel coming into this series? I definitely know you guys wanted to take the win here.
Yeah, we got put in a tough pool with both UT Arlington and Mizzou. Both have CRL experience, so they're very good teams. So we're excited looking at this matchup because we know it was an opportunity to get a win. We had scrimmed them earlier in the week, and it was a close series. And I knew if we just played our game, we could take the win. So we came in here confident and just glad we won.
Glad to hear that, man.
I like the confidence. Yeah, I like the confidence. We're going to go with a little bit of an unorthodox question. That's mostly about your state here. So how often is it when you tell somebody that you go to the University of North Dakota, are they surprised? Are they taken aback?
Oh yeah, sometimes we'll run into people in like ranked in Rocket League, and they see UND and they'll ask, "Is that North Dallas?" And it's like, no, North Dakota. People live there.
The city, the northern part of a city is more likely than the entire state, which is a relatively large state, right? Like geographically, right?
Geographically, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And now that you've finished and taken this win off of Wichita State, you're going into the rest of this group 1 and 2, not fully on the loss now. What's to come? Do you guys expect to try to take wins off of these other two teams? UT Arlington, like you mentioned, a very tough opponent.
Yeah. We came in today with a lot of confidence, and I think that kind of showed. It was a close game, all 3 games, but in the end we took the sweep. So I think if we just be confident for our series against UT Arlington, it could happen. We could take some games, maybe the series.
Gotcha. So continuing on here now, Matt Cannonball, there are many metrics, there are many measures by which you can answer this question. So I'm not concerned with those. I'm going to ask you straight up, which is the better Dakota?
Ooh. All right. South Dakota has the Black Hills and Mount Rushmore, so they have the edge on that, but I got to give it to North Dakota. The Mount Rushmore, the 4 presidential hats.
I'm kidding around. I'm kidding.
Okay. But I got to go with North Dakota.
Nice.
I love it here.
Nice.
It's good
Obviously go to Rocket League, right?
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cannonball, I want to thank you for coming on in here, giving us a little bit of your time, and providing some interesting content, Rocket League and otherwise, here in the interview booth. We'll be seeing your team play with EGF again when?
Later today against Mizzou, I believe.
Yep, later tonight. Last match of the night against Mizzou. So very excited to see you there, and good luck to you guys on that game. But for now, we are going to throw to another quick break. We're going to be right back with UT Arlington and Wichita State University, who we just saw. But also for now, I'm going to be bowing out for the night. We'll be right back with Cool J taking my place. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.
Hello and welcome, esports fans. We are here live with the EGFC, that is the Electronic Gaming Federation, the collegiate side here, their Power Series. Now, University, Texas, Arlington, taking on Wichita State that we just saw on. I'm FBI Tugboat, joined today. Now, Cool J, Hans down in producer's box, making our job just so much easier. We do appreciate that. Cool J, you doing well, my man?
I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to this matchup. UT Arlington, of course, in week 1, they went 2-0. They looked like one of the stronger teams in this group 1. We just saw North Dakota, who had a tough week 1 going 0-2. They really demolished Wichita State. So Wichita State coming off a tough loss. We'll see if they can do a little bit better here going up against UT Arlington, and we're getting into the kickoff.
Yes, sir. 3-0 loss for Wichita, but none of those games were decided by more than a single score. First game going to overtime. It was a close one indeed. Score not entirely telling the narrative of that one. But, like you said, Wichita State, loss never feels good. We're looking to answer back against one of the best teams in the Electronic Gaming Federation. This team winning the Power Series Invitational, of course. So, both teams, one with full wins, 3-0 for UT Arlington. One not able to find a win so far, that's Wichita State, and this is UT Arlington striking first.
Yeah, Parzival just gets a really rough hit right there. That was not the one that he was looking for. Plays it right into Gengis' hands for the first goal in favor of UT Arlington.
Now 50-50, mostly one on the side of UT Arlington. They won last time as well. Now what they do with it, that's the tail of the take, and that's the narrative. Little midfield play. We saw a little bit of kind of aerial attempting and testing by both of these teams last game, and that might be a roll away. Okay, but Burgertown able to get there for Wichita State. Would not have been a fantastic start 2-0 if Wichita didn't get on top of that one.
Yeah, Nava right there just pinching it off the wall, and then he goes up back up the ceiling. He wants to keep this pressure up. Echo Clutch playing it into the corner for UT Arlington, and they are really not giving Wichita State any breathing room right now.
That's perfectly centered. Nice job by Parzival. Popping this one a little bit over, but a longer range shot. Echo Clutch actually bouncing off of the right side, I believe.
Yeah, just gonna splash this one in there. A great fake out from Genghis. He forces the overcommit on the defense, and Echo Clutch has a wide open goal right now.
Yeah, 4 minutes on this clock, just under that. 2 scores already for the side of UT Arlington, looking at a 30-second per score average is pretty good performance. Now a lot of pressure again, man. UTA does not give up this ball possession.
Yeah, but they may have overcommitted this time. There's a chance for Wichita State. Swan Dog coming back down the court with it, but unfortunately it's going to get stopped. Nava was trying to bring it back down the other side of the pitch. He's going to get demoed, but Echo Clutch tossing it in towards the goal. Genghis is there to meet up with it midair, but he just can't quite find the connection.
Close and contentious possessions coming through here. Nobody really able to run away with this one quite yet. Just like as I say that now, nice big pop by Nava and intercepted by Burgertown. Offensive pressure against UTA again, decently centered here, but Nava sniffs that one out, gets that one on out of dodge.
Now Echo Clutch trying to bring it down towards the goal. He can't quite get the angle on it that he wants, but sets it right up for Nava. Burgertown with a good save though. Wichita State, I need to see more aggression from them. I need to see them clearing these balls, winning it in the midfield, and bringing it down to UTA's half. But right now, UTA on the aggression again. Genghis with a shot towards goal. Burgertown with another save. Nava plays it up and over, but it goes all the way back to the other side. Nothing doing.
Yeah, this is a UTA team that's hit this ball a couple times, kind of a little bit too high on over, so it reaches from one corner to the next, not even really coming dangerously close to this goal. They want to tighten that up a little bit, hit this ball just a little bit softer and get those more correct angles on there. But like you were saying, this is UTA. It's been a driver's seat in offensive so far all day. WSU, that's Wichita State, has done a fantastic job on the defense, though, and they've had plenty of time to do it, Cool J.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you're letting in so many shots, there's eventually nothing you can do about it. And what I really see as a problem for Wichita State is still more than 3 minutes into the game, they have no shots on goal, and Echo Clutch gonna splash one in right there yet again. Look at the double commit from the Wichita State defense, leaving a wide open.
Yep, the double commit there doesn't look good, but I have to call, like I see it, third player over on the right mid side, going for a big boost as opposed to being on the defensive rotation. You can see it, that leading to a score, 2 minutes left on the clock, and University of Texas Arlington solidly in the lead.
Yeah, and honestly, I wonder how much of this for Wichita State is them just being not good enough, and how much is, you know, the fatigue if they've just lost, you know, a close but still pretty decisive 3-0 against North Dakota, and now coming to face UT Arlington, one of the best teams in this group, and another goal getting put in right there. It is not a good day for Wichita State.
That's a fair statement. It's an accurate representation of what we're looking at right now. Again, UT Arlington took that Power Series invitation before this regular season started. And this does not look like a team that has gotten worse since then. No logic there. 4-0 advantage for the side of UT Arlington. This ball goes now midfield. Mostly been Swan Dog trying to set these up, and a lot of times they come from the sides, Jay.
Yeah, they're just looking really for these center balls, but the thing is, even when they get a good center play, the rotations aren't there offensively for anyone to follow up on it. I need to see better communication from this Wichita State squad. You know, there's a lot of things that you know, oh my goodness, Nava with another goal off the assist from Genghis.
Like the little Tetris animation in the end. You know, a lot of these goal animations are very loud and flashy. That one is kind of like a little digitization of the Tetris 9 cube there. Interesting stuff. Again, Rocket League continues to be a very artistic and beautiful game.
It does indeed, and most importantly, we just see some incredible plays coming out from UT Arlington. Wichita State looks a bit overmatched as UT Arlington is really putting on a clinic on these cross plays, these setups. I mean, just some incredible team play from them right now as they're threatening for goal number 6. Nava plays it perfectly. Swan Dog's there for the save, but Genghis is there for the rebound.
Yeah, we're looking at a UTA team that had performance like 8-0, 6-0 in game or week number 1. No reason to believe that this is going to change up. A very dominant performance for the side of UTA so far. I'd like to highlight kind of what you said and kind of watch what UTA does, right? Once this offensive pressure is on, they always have at least one all the way back. As soon as one player comes up, whether they make it or not, they're starting the rotation around because they simply know they can't tap this one again. The last UTA goal came off the back of a solid little goal that did get blocked, but it was a rebound there. The offensive player exactly where he needs to. Made that easier for himself and team, pushing this with a 6-0 lead. And I think now with 20 seconds, we're not looking at a situation where Wichita can come back.
Yeah, I really just see from this UTA side, there's no quit. There's no ball where they think, you know, I can't go for this one. They're going after every ball. They're winning most of them because Wichita State isn't challenging a lot of those. And there's a lot of things that you can't cheat, that you can't teach, that you can't fix mid-match. But one thing that I'd like to see from Wichita State in Game 2 to maybe turn this around is start challenging UTA on a lot more of those 50-50s. They finished Game 1 with 0 shots on goal, and that is something that you really never want to see.
It's really not something you see very often at all, right? Generally, at least a couple of these are going to happen, even if they're just longer range, you know, midfield, 2/3, 3/4 field shots that just end up decently on point and then are then blocked away. It still count. I mean, you know, and you're going to get points for them, right? It's really just not that often that you see 0, you know, attempted goals from an entire team. Just not that often.
Yeah, we see it. We talk about it so much here at EGF. The mental game in esports so important. I think if we can see some more confident play coming out of this Wichita State side, really force UTA to work hard for these goals. Obviously, UTA has shown that they're very talented. They're going to get some goals. But, you know, stop making it easy on them. Really make them fight for it. That's what I want to see from Wichita State going through here.
I'm with it. Nava in the middle. That was almost a perfectly executed pinch with an angle to boot. Now, a couple really lofty attempps, right? Is going to result now in a little bit of pressure offensively against UTA, but just like that, that's Wichita. It's just fighting to even continue this, fighting to even keep this ball over here on this side of the field.
Yeah, I actually saw a good setup from Burgertown over to Swan Dog. They had a chance at a goal, but Swan Dog just couldn't quite get the connection. He could have had a perfect run to it. There were UTA members in position, but I'm not sure that they would have been able to stop it if he got the right angle on it. Anyway, we're coming back the other way, and Genghis, oh my goodness, from midfield, look at this.
That's looking like coming from the goalie's box almost. Huge pitch up. Genghis goes for the fake to tap this one. It looks like the defender was more going for where he thought that tap ball was going to go, but just the normal trajectory takes it all the way in. Now UTA up 1-0.
Yeah, the mind games from UTA starting to come out. We are seeing some more confident play from Wichita State. This is what I like. Swandog and Parzival trying to connect. Parzival doesn't get the touch that he wants, and now it's back in the hands of UTA. Genghis bringing it back down for Nava, trying to link up over the middle. Doesn't quite work. Swandog now back the other way, but a save from Echo Clutch.
Talking about similarities, differences, this UTA team is also just simply operated up top a little bit better. They are more frequent flyers, we could say, than the side of Wichita. A lot of times, UTA's passes, given that they're really lofty and long, has given Wichita time to get back under these and set up defensively. But once you have these repeated shots by a set-up UTA team, there's very little that you can do. There's only so many defending times you can go forth, slap this one away before UTA is going to make it.
Yeah, and that's where I'd really like to see Wichita State playing more aggressive in the midfield, trying to win these balls when UTA just knocks them down the pitch, and then when they're trying to clear it out, winning them. And now look at this, it's working for him. Swandog with a shot from midfield, but UTA was too busy.
Was that a pinch against either the ground or no? That was just an absolutely perfect angle. He got a little.
It was a
jump
nice redirect.
under that. Yep, perfect redirect. Got the nice little angle on the roof of his car. Over there, gotta dig the cowboy hat that I believe that Swandog has on there. Yeah, nice bright yellow cowboy hat.
And I want to see more from that from Wichita State. When you make things difficult for UTA, they're going to make mistakes. It's a good team. They don't make a lot of them. But all you need is one or two to get back in this game. They've already capitalized off one, and I want to see them keep going after these balls. UTA back on the aggressive, but they don't quite get the hit they wanted. Genghis now bringing it over the middle. Nava is there for the connection, but a nice stop from Burgertown. Going to keep the ball out of harm's way for now. Keyword for now, because Echo Clutch threatening again. Cleared back out to the mid, and UTA going to win it in the midfield with no contest.
Yeah, so I'll say at least that would have been a score had the side of Wichita not demolished a UTA player in the beginning. Just simply making the numbers a little bit more advantageous for them is what spelled out at least a neutral performance there. No harm, no foul, no gain for the side of UTA. I would not be surprised if we saw performances like that again, right? Trying to start offense or defense with demolitions.
Yeah, I mean, hey, a win's a win, and it's a legitimate strategy. It gives you a 3-on-2, and it's a great way to disrupt some aggression, but there's a miscommunication. Two players running into each other leaves the goal wide open for UTA to score their third goal.
This is getting a little farther away from the side of UTA. 2 minutes to go. Plenty of time for Wichita to come back on this. They would love to take a game number 2, make this nice, even Stevens, clean the slate for a game number 3. See how it goes, though. See if it happens.
Yeah, UTA, they really want to keep their crown. They want to come out today. They want to win 2 games. They want to win them convincingly. They want to show that they deserve to stay at the top of Group 1. They went 2-0 last week, and this week they're trying to keep it going, obviously. We still have one more week of action, but I really think that this week 2 is going to be critical. We may see some of the higher level teams maybe drop a little bit. We're going to see a lot of teams try and cement their position, and that's what UTA is looking for. They want to cement their position. They don't want to drop at all.
Yeah, this is a UTA team that is definitely looking towards the future. Literally, competition-wise and in-game, both things the Rocket League players will forever benefit from. Genghis up on this one. Got a good angle on it, but that's just a little bit high. And from this angle, it looked like Swandog was almost going to put that in accidentally on goal. Nava all the way back is there. Decently centered, but Burgertown answering an aggressive fashion.
Yeah, Wichita State is threatening. There's a minute left to go. They're down 2 goals. 2 is a pretty strong lead, but no lead is really safe in Rocket League. It's not over until the clock hits 0. UTA is threatening
and even
again.
then, right?
It only takes 1 hit. Swandog bringing it back down the other way. Genghis going for a disruption, and he is going to get it. Nava plays it back over the middle, and no one there from Wichita State to come on it.
Some corner plays here. Wichita has not done bad in the pocket. These corners on the side here. When it's there, they've again used this to and bounces against corners to buy themselves time on defense. I think UTA knows that, and they're more just confident. Let them get that time, because so far, when they've shaken up defense, what falls out is a point after 2 or 3 individual shots. Very rarely after 1. Wichita does a great job, or been doing a great job, I should say, of defending the first shot.
Yeah, they have, but unfortunately that's not going to be enough for them this time, as Wichita State is going to lose Game 2, UTA securing a 2-0 lead as we head towards match point in Game 3.
Yep, a 3-1, decently decisive as well. This is a UTA team that took an advantage and then just realized they just got to play keep away up until then, Cool J. Run out this time. Clock is no longer on your side once you're in the lead in Rocket League, which is kind of a interesting facet of the game, right?
Yeah, it really is. Like, it's just an interesting thing. Once you get that lead, you really can camp it if you're able to play well, able to keep ball control. And that's really what we saw. UTA has so much ball control. Even in the midfield, they're basically controlling the midfield, keeping the ball in Wichita State's half for the majority of that match.
Yes, sir. Again, I would love if we had, if we had that time of possession. But talking a little bit about these numbers, multiple shots coming out from Wichita. Obviously, Swan Dog landing one of them, but unfortunately, other two without any shots. We got Cool J here. He's gonna talk a little bit about what these UT Arlington numbers mean.
Honestly, the big thing for me is the number of shots. They had 10 shots on goal as a team in that game, and that's just, it's actually not a ton. I mean, we've certainly seen much bigger numbers, but 10 shots on goal is more than enough to get 2, 3, 4 goals in, which they ended up doing. And the way that Wichita State has been playing offensively, that's really all they're going to need here. They don't really need to worry about, playing these games where it's, 8-7 or anything like that. Wichita State has not really been able to answer back so far. UTA has just been asserting their dominance as Echo Clutch bar down, splashing that one in indeed.
Loud flashy goal if there ever was one. Bouncing that off the top bar. Get a nice little bounce action going in. 8-second goal. That was as fast as you get. 1-0 lead for UTA. That has been their natural position throughout this entire. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, 8-second goal is pretty close to as fast as you can get. However, I should note that the EGF Power Series record is actually 1 second.
Yep.
There was a 1 second goal scored already this season. I was thankfully witness to it. It's some pretty crazy stuff. But UTA, within the first 30 seconds, they've already scored.
Yeah, crazy stuff would be defined as Nava doing this. That's his back left tire that he used. Tap that ball, get it just barely cornered at an angle that was not easy, Cool J.
Yeah, they're really, UTA is just trying to put on a clinic now, showing how you can score from all over the field. Off angles, they don't really care. They're going to go and put it in anyway. And really, Wichita State, I think they're ready for this one to be over with. I really don't see a lot of fight out of this team right now.
Yeah, they have just reported the news. Gotta agree with you. They've been coming out here in this game number 3, possibly the last, without a whole lot of fire under the butts. Again, first 2 games have been marked by UTA at time of possession at least 70%, right? At least.
Yeah, I would say
Wichita just hasn't had very many opportunities to shoot, especially, and again, as you were mentioning earlier, when UTA has double-digit attempts on goal, they're simply going to get it eventually. Again, Wichita is doing a great job blocking that first one. I don't think there's been a first shot when there's multiple, when it's not just like a long-range runaway. Yeah, that Wichita hasn't been able to block, but it's just when they're able to recreate that, have shot after shot coming, it's just not going to bode well.
And that's where I'd like to see them play more aggressive and go to disrupt the setups instead of going to block the shots. Yeah, they're able to block the first shot, but then when the rebounds come through, they've overcommitted, there's no one there. There is a chance for them to come in and challenge these balls on the shot setups when they're making these pass plays, when they're bouncing it up and over the goal and doing all kinds of crazy stuff that we see UTA doing. There's a chance there for them to come in and make a disruption and really try and stop that aggression. But they're just kind of waiting in the goal, waiting for that shot to come through instead of going out and making an aggressive play.
I gotta, what we talked about micro plays sometimes. That was Nava and Genghis. Genghis attempting the guillotine action from the top, coming in from the top and chopping it down just like that blade comes, making that in with a bounce, and then Nava comes through with his own attempted fanciness.
Is that the guillotine? I thought it was the waterfall.
Waterfall guillotine. Which of those sounds more bad A, as we'll say? Which of those sounds cooler, right? Halftime now, 2-0, and that's definitely not the worst lead that Wichita has seen.
Well, it's about to be 3.
Oh, yes, it is. That's a Nava ball there, just flirting with a Wichita State goal, and end up successful.
Yeah, just more great stuff from UTA. Wichita State, this is a tough one from them. They have a lot to learn. They're probably going to lose this one. They lost one earlier. Going down 0-4 now on the season is definitely not where you want to be. It's going to be very difficult, maybe even impossible for them to come back in this EGF season. But we shall see. That remains to be seen. They still have a game to play today. A game to finish today. Burgertown putting one in. He's trying to show that Wichita State still has fight.
I don't know how this happened. That's Genghis with a hit there. That was like a half pinch with the momentum of the UTA player with Burgertown. We're going to say that that was a long-range coordinated play by Burgertown. He's got a 900 IQ, and we're looking to see more of those from him.
You know what? Sometimes you make them happen when you go for those aggressive plays. I mean, that's what we saw there, but UTA, they know how to make them happen. I mean, that was just more good stuff right there. Perfectly set up to his teammate. Parzival was in position, but just overcommitted a little bit and couldn't quite get in position to save that one.
What we're looking at is a Wichita State team. This is the point that me and Hans over here were talking about earlier. You're down by such a deficit that you need to just dump it all into offense. You're down by 3. Defense doesn't matter as much at this one. You're looking at a little bit less than 100 seconds now. Go forth, get hyper aggressive, shake the tree, see what comes out. If it's 3 goals, then you've tied that up, and you've done very, very well, and arguably one of the best teams in the EGFC. So.
And we shall see now. Burgertown with a save there, trying to come down the other end of the pitch. A little bit less than 90 seconds ago, down by 3. Genghis looking to make it a 4-goal lead just to cement victory. Parzival is going to clear the danger for now. Echo Clutch trying to bring it back towards the center. Genghis winning it in the midfield. He's going to slow down this push, and he's going to try and bring it back the other way again.
This is just a wall made of 3 individual UTA players, right? You don't need flat surfaces when you have players like this that can respond and react in time. You get exactly where this ball is. Getting across halftime is easier said than done, we'll say. 1 minute to go. UTA by 4, 5-1, 58 seconds. Looking at a 12-second average for goals required by the side of WSU. That's Wichita State.
Yeah, definitely got their work cut out for them, and with the way they've been scoring so far today, I'm not sure that they can do this one. Oh my goodness, again? No, they're gonna get the save this time, but UTA still threatening. 5-1 lead for them. Swandog trying to bring it back the other way. Nava is the only man back. He is just ahead of Swandog. He's trying to slow it down so the rotations can get in position, and they are gonna get there. Echo Clutch with the save as Parzival was coming through for a shot.
Yeah, it would have been really good looking, honestly, to have done that here towards this UTA team. Excuse me, towards the end as well. Excuse me. Shots there by UTA, a little bit uncoordinated, but not the most essential, we could say, right? As this clock is hitting about 10 seconds.
Yeah, definitely a tough one for Wichita State, but UTA, we talked about it so much already. They're coming out making a statement about the type of team that they want to be here in Group 1, and that is one of the best as they come out and absolutely destroy Wichita State. Wichita State really didn't have much going for them all day long. We'll see if they can come back next week and do a little better. They've got a lot of tape to review, and I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on that one?
I mean, I don't think you're being harsh. I think you're calling this as you see it, with a 6-0, 3-1, and 5-1 scoreline. There's a few other ways that you could describe this matchup between UT Arlington and Wichita State. Wichita State, not a bad team by any means. UT Arlington, just oppressive a Rocket League team if there ever was one, right? This is the EGFC. We're going to be throwing to a short break. Be back with you guys in just a couple minutes with some more EGFC content. You're not tuned away.
You're off. Fine one. They all left the game. The main captain that was here wasn't in the captain's game. So 1.
Hello and welcome. Oh my, I thought I was taking in. Cool J, go ahead, man. I thought we settled on me.
Well, I decided I wanted to bring this one in today because we've got UT Arlington and Missouri, the top 2 teams in Group 1. At least after the first week of play, both of these teams are going to be looking to make their mark and claim their rightful place at the top of the group, and we'll see who's going to come out on top. It should be an interesting one.
Yes, sir. Rightful places will be decided, but both of these teams undefeated. Not just undefeated, Cool J. We were looking at UTA, that's University of Texas Arlington, and Mizzou from over there from Missouri. Both teams have not dropped a map either. So I believe this is Missouri's 3rd game, and I am 99% certain that this is UT Arlington's 4th game. We just saw them on stream a second ago in a walloping against Wichita State. Again, they have not dropped a map yet. We'll see if this proves to be their bane, their kryptonite. Their first map dropped.
Yeah, we shall see. If you were with us for the last match with UTA, you'll notice that the roster is a little bit different. Adverse is out there in place of Nava for this one. I think that Nava is one of their subs, maybe trying to get him some experience against a little bit of a weaker opponent, so that they can get him ready for some of these tougher matches. However, this time around, facing off against Missouri, they're going to show them full respect. They want the full starting roster out there. They're going to give them their best shot right now. Adverse coming in, actually looking to be the super sub, looking for an early goal, saved by Ethanol, but Missouri still struggling to deal with this. There is the ever hilarious Homeless Baby bringing the ball back down the pitch.
Yes, sir. Chalks, Ethanol, and Homeless Baby made up of Missouri's Rocket League team. Homeless Baby here in sports referred to as Homeless. Might just be a little bit easier. Now Chalks striking first. Missouri taking first blood here, and we'll see if that theme doth continue. Echo Clutch getting outplayed up there, close and personal in front of goal. Not something we've seen frequently. Of course, is a UTA team with a new lineup, like you said, Verse coming in for Nava. But I do not think that's going to have that much of an influence on this team's performance. Cool J?
Oh, yeah, we shall see how it plays out for them. One thing is that Adverse is going to be not very warmed up because he just spent game 1 on the sidelines. We'll see if that has any kind of effect. Chalks and Ethanol trying to play it through for Missouri here. UTA dealing with the pressure, trying to bring it back down the other way. UTA really wants to win this one because it really kind of just cements them. They're going to be 4-0. They won't have to worry about any other matches. Missouri, they still have another match to play after this, so even if they win, they won't necessarily be cemented as the top of the group here. We shall see how it plays out.
Yeah, a very good point, right? Both of these teams are undefeated, but Missouri has played 1 less game. So, while as impressive as that is, Missouri is going to have to do simply more at this point than UTA has already accomplished. So, a very good point and a very good distinction that you could draw between these 2 undefeated records so far. Now, again, nobody's dropped a map, so that really is the tail of the take here so far. Nobody wants to do it first, but I can guarantee you there will be a winner and there will be a loser once this clock strikes 0, as long as we're not in overtime. I had a funny little wind-up about your thing earlier about striking 0, but this is Rocket League, so who knows about overtime. But mid-range shots stopped off, lots of pressure against UTA.
Yeah, we actually saw a nice shot attempt from Missouri. It was stopped, but they bring it all the way back.
Yeah, Ethanol coming in the clutch again. He got first shot, he got second shot. Little bouncer action right there. Adverse a little bit farther away. I think that was Echo Clutch down there in the bottom right. Not 100% sure, but we're perfectly at halftime.
The rotations from UTA have been a bit lacking. I wonder if it's a communication thing, if there's some nerves going in here, because this is their biggest matchup of the EGF Power Series so far. And right now, they're really struggling.
Fair. No, I'm with that 100%. You have to wonder, you have to think and ponder what is going on in these individual players' minds and experiences, right? This is a UTA team that just came off of an absolute trouncing of Wichita, whereas Missouri, again, has played simply less games, playing their first of the 2, and hands down, UT Arlington has given them a fast run for their money so far. They are up 2-0, but that is bloodless, actually, so far. So, just like that, Echo Clutch proving that esports players cannot stand esports casters being right.
Yeah, the caster curse striking yet again, and UTA striking for their first goal of this matchup, bringing it back to 2-1. And the thing is, Missouri is in the lead, but a 1-goal lead is just about as unsafe as it can get in the world of Rocket League. And we already see UTA, they were going for a threatening push, but nicely stopped by Homeless Baby trying to bring it back the other way. Adverse now in the middle, trying to bring it down the pitch, looking to center it up to his teammates, and now we're playing a little bit of ping pong, bouncing the ball back and forth of these two teams.
Ooh, almost perfectly on point here for Ethanol again. It would have been his third call to... What, oh man, what is in hockey when you get 3 goals? I did this last time. Oh well, we're moving forward. Cool J will help me out eventually with that. Nicely done. Genghis just like that, tying this up.
Yeah, and that is exactly the response we needed to see from UTA. They went down early. The first half of that game looked very, very difficult for them. They couldn't get anything going on offense. They were making defensive mistakes. Now they brought it back in just a minute, tied it up. 1 minute left to go, and now we'll see who can make it happen.
I'm sorry.
Tugboat found his brain.
There you go. Yeah, and that took way, way too long, especially given that I literally did the exact same thing with EGFC last week. Sorry, guys. You have to bear with me.
www.google.com.
I swear, I actually didn't use that, I promise. I was literally just staring blankly at my screen, trying to rack my brain, and it eventually worked. Just need a little bit of Kickstarter. That's what you're here for, Cool J. God knows I appreciate you. 45 seconds to go. Tied up as they get. UTA in a bit of an unfamiliar situation right now, right? They're used to being ahead and solidly.
Yeah, and we shall see with 30 seconds left to go. All tied up. Both teams looking for an opportunity. Chalk centering it over the goal. Ethanol comes skying through. Can't quite get the connection. The rebound is not there for Homeless Baby, and Adverse going to try and play it back down. Homeless Baby there for the rotations defensively, and he's going to win it in the midfield and play it back into the danger zone. UTA with 10 seconds left to go. They want a score right now. They want to win game 1.
Ow.
They started off badly. The comeback is in. We shall see. We might actually be going to overtime, ladies and gentlemen.
I would love to see it. Genghis earlier came all the way in with just no opposition whatsoever. He must have had a pass on his chest because